Hey guys, welcome to the RAMZPAUL show. Yes, happy Thursday, Umo. It is Thursday, April 10th. I hope you're all doing well. It's been a busy week, and let me just take a look at the Dow Jones, see where that is. It is down 4% today. It's it's been a very rocky week. We kind of crashed on Liberation Day. And then when Trump yesterday said he would pause the tariffs on every country but China, there was a wild reaction. And now the stock market is going back down. I think, the uncertainty in the market now, the wild fluctuations are because of the uncertainty. People like to be able to predict. And one of the big predictions or one of the big questions is, are these tariffs going to continue? Are they going to be resumed in 90 days on all these countries? And what about China? And like it or not, I don't think it was a good idea. But over the last 20, 30 years, we got really integrated with China. We outsourced a lot of our production to China because it was low cost labor. That was a huge mistake for a variety of reasons. It provided low cost consumer goods from Walmart and so forth. But the disadvantage is it really hit the heartland, put a lot of people out of jobs. And it's also a defense risk. If we don't have these factories, if we don't manufacture our own steel or microchips, if there should be a war, we would not be able to fight it because you just can't build a plant overnight. It takes quite a while to build the plant. So those are some of the issues, what happened over the years. So I think Trump is trying to restructure the economy like Nixon had to do in the early 70s, getting off the gold standard. We no longer can do business as usual. And it's not even matter if, let's say, if Kamala won, we would still be facing a financial crisis because our debt's getting so large. The interest payments are exceeding what we pay for our national defense. And we have a huge military. I call it national defense, but we usually don't defend our nation. We fight wars for Israel or Ukraine. So there's a lot of issues here. And I think the stock market is trying to figure out, okay, is this just a negotiating tactic by Donald Trump to try to get better deals, but he's going to try to bring it pretty much back to business as usual? Or are there going to be real tariffs? Is this the way going forward? Are we ending the era of globalism and returning to economic nationalism, which would bring back the other type of nationalism too? I'm a nationalist, so I think that's better. But the markets really don't know. And we could go back to the time where the stock market doesn't always go up. You don't have all the easy money. You can't have all these fake email jobs that a lot of people have. And we're going to have to go back to actually making things of value. We can't all be Uber drivers or e-thoughts that or prostitute themselves on OnlyFans. People need to eventually work in real jobs that produce something real. And that includes a lot of the HR jobs are fake. You know, they send emails back and forth. Those jobs are probably going to go. I think we're going under a fundamental transformation, but I don't know. And the market doesn't know. So I think that's part of the issue right now. If you want to get more of the discussion, I had a great discussion with Z-Man last night. Let me make sure my mic is up right. Yeah. Z-Man and I last night on Wednesday Wrap Up, our show. It's a lot of fun. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't watched it, it's up on YouTube and it's on Rumble and it's on X. Check it out. We had a great time, and I'm looking forward already to next week. We do a deep dive into a specific topic. It's not just the news of the day like this show. And we talked about it quite a bit. And as Z-Man on his blog today talked about it, I think this is a big transformation that will really impact us more than many things like the war in Ukraine. So we'll have to see what happens, but that's where we are right now. All right, a couple of things. Just welcome this show, the Ramsey Paul Show, for you newcomers. I appreciate you being here. We do the show Monday through Friday. Monday through Thursday, we do the show at 11 a.m. Central, and we typically go an hour. Depends how many super chats I get. And I do appreciate your support. I don't have any outside funding by Soros or USAID. I don't have a sugar daddy that tells me what to say, which in some ways is good because I just tell you what I believe. I don't get paid off. So I appreciate your support. Makes the show fun. There's a few ways you can contribute or ask a question. One way is through Powerchats, the link below. And Powerchats are nice. You can send anytime during the day or night. So if you're watching the show later in the evening, some people watch in the evening, just send me a Power Chat. I will get to it the next day. If you're watching live, there's Super Chats. Rumble has rants. And then we have Stream Elements has a tip feature. I really do appreciate that. And on Friday nights is when I have my Ramsey Paul show at 8 p.m. Central. It's kind of a different vibe. We just kind of kick back and we discuss the week. I have an open mic. People can call in. So that's a lot of fun. And also I encourage people to sign up for my Substack on Friday. So tomorrow I do a video every day, Monday through Friday. But my video I just do on Friday is exclusive to my supporters. It's a way to say thank you. And if you like what I do, go ahead and subscribe to me on Substack. And also every Tuesday night for the Substack subscribers, we have a roundtable. But even if you don't want to pay for Substack, follow me there because you get notified when I release my videos, which I do every day. So a lot of stuff going on. Let's just kind of go through some of the stuff that's happened in the past day. Trump had a message. Let's listen, read what Trump had to say here on his True Social. Based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world markets, I hereby am raising the tariff charge to China by the United States to 125% effective immediately. At some point, hopefully in the near future, China will realize the days of ripping off the USA and other countries. You could tell it's Trump because he just has random capitalization. I don't know what he does that. Must be the inner boomer in him or whatever. Is no longer sustainable or acceptable. Conversely, and based on the fact that more than 75 countries have called representatives of the United States, including Departments of Commerce, Treasury, and the USTR, to negotiate a solution to the subject's relative trade barriers. He's doing a 90-day pause, but it's a 10% for everyone. So Britain was only going to have a 10% tariff anyway. So my reading of this, I have authorized a 90-day pause and substantially lowered the reciprocal tariff during this period of 10%, also effective immediately. So right now, all countries have a 10% tariff, which is probably reasonable, really. And again, a lot of other countries, they previously had tariffs on our products. And China, though, they're at 125%. So the couple of questions here I think people are going to want to know is this 90 days a pause or is this permanent? And what does Trump want from these countries exactly? And is this 10% going to remain for every country, or is it going to vary by country, excluding China? There's a lot of uncertainty, really, what's happening here. And then with China, what does he want from China exactly? And I know China, Z-Man, he's done business with China. And if you know any business people that have done business with businessmen that have done business with China, China's pretty unethical in their business practices. I think that's part of their culture. They don't care about keeping agreements, or they lie, and they will steal and they don't really care about that. That's just their culture. I think one of the interesting things that our people have found, or a lot of people have found, is cultures are not the same across the world, and every culture is a little bit different. And I think we got into this kumbaya in the 1960s and 70s that all people are the same because we bleed red and we all have the same values. And that's not the case. And there's a lot of terms that came like, oh, we can't say these terms anymore because that's racist. Like we used to have a term, oh, I got gypped at the store. And the term came from gypsies. And oh, well, that's just racist against gypsies. Well, it was based on a truth that a lot of gypsies would engage in cons. They still do in like Hungary, street cons. So to get gypped means to be swindled. And so a lot of these stereotypes, they're based in some truth. They just didn't come out of thin air. But we thought they were all false, and everyone had the values of Western Europe or America. And in my grandfather's day, anyway, the norm was your word was your honor. So your word was your bond. So if you made a handshake deal with someone, that was it. I mean, you would follow your word. And if you broke your word, you were a dishonorable man and people wouldn't want to do business with you. That was an important thing for people. Now, was everyone honest? No, there were always dishonest people, but they usually weren't welcome. Usually honesty paid because people would do business with you and you got a bad reputation. Whereas other cultures, they don't really have that. And as I said in the show yesterday with Z-Man, years ago, this had to be in the 90s when we were first doing some business with China, and we made a deal with China verbally. But my boss said, well, that's just a Chinese handshake. And I'm like, well, what does a Chinese handshake mean? He says it doesn't mean anything. They will go back on it. And so China, it'd be fair to call them the little victims in all this. In some ways, I don't blame them. If they can exploit us, they will. Why not? If we're going to be suckers, a lot of people have the view, hey, if you're going to be a sucker, why not exploit you? And our country has been a sucker for 20, 30 years. And I think people are starting to wake up to this. So there's a lot of things going on here. The big question is, so how can we manage this in a way that's not too rocky? Because some things you just can't change real quick. Now, some things I think you could change really quick, and I would like to see Donald Trump do this, and I haven't heard this mentioned. He's mostly focused on manufacturing, which is an important thing, don't get me wrong. But I was in the tech field, and I think one of the huge things that's preventing a lot of young men, especially white men, from getting jobs in the tech industry is outsourcing to India and H-1Bs, which are being abused, which bring Indians in. And we need to stop that right off the bat. And that's something you could stop right away. And it's not like you need to build a new factory that takes 5 years, right? We could immediately say, no, outsourcing, we're going to put a tariff on, huge, big tariff. So IBM, HP, and all the big firms can't outsource anymore. And then we're not going to bring in H-1B visas. They're going to be sent home to the cheers of everyone. And then this will really open up the job market for a lot of the graduates. And I'm 100% for that. Not just programmers, but all of STEM. And that could be done pretty quickly because, again, you don't have to build a new factory. Now, some things are going to be a little bit more tricky, let's say like iPhones or smartphones, because they're built overseas and they require a sophisticated factory. And I saw some shit lib like, oh, the United States, we can't do this. We're just deluding ourselves. No, we can build. I mean, the United States, we invented all this shit, right? We invented this and then it got outsourced to other countries, but it all started here. Yes, we got smart people that can build these factories in the United States. There's no reason we can't build iPhone factories in the United States, especially with robotics. You won't need a lot of cheap labor. It's going to get a lot better. You'll need some employment, though. But the problem is you just can't build a new factory in a week, right, or a month. It takes some time to do that. And to do that during that time, the transitional period, your iPhones are going to be like double, triple the cost. And I just threw out iPhones, but all the shit you get at Walmart will be in the same situation. Let's say if you like to buy toys, all of a sudden your toys are a lot more expensive at Walmart. And maybe they could build a toy factory in the United States. We used to, but it's going to be a lag before they build the toy factory. And then there's a problem. Our businesses, the businesses, I'm sure, I'm not in contact with these people, but I know how they think. They're thinking, well, is this going to be for real? Are these tariffs a way forward in the future where we need to relocate to America? And businesses are okay with that. They're like, oh, okay, well, that's the plan. To make money, I need to be in America. I will move my business. But this is pretty capital intensive and it requires a lot of planning. And what they're worried about is this just a fad that Donald Trump's doing? And even if Donald Trump is serious, what if Democrats get in power in 4 years? Will they just roll this all back? So if I got my factory in China that has the slave labor that is cheap, and that's my business model, and I justify that, hey, I have to compete against other people, other companies, and I can't compete in American labor. I got to send it to China, otherwise I'm out of business. But now with tariffs, they got to think, well, wait a minute, it's just as expensive in China. Yeah, I would like to build it in America. Maybe it's even cheaper in America, but it's a big investment to shut down the factory in China and build a new one in America. And is this really going to happen a year from now, 2 years from now? There's a lot of uncertainty right now, I bet, in the business world. Is this going to continue? Is this the new future? So we're getting away of globalization and having more economic nationalism. Again, companies, they'll be okay with that. They'll adjust, but they need to know that this is for real. Or is this just a fad Donald Trump's doing? And Donald Trump, he's all over the map. One day he's for something, the next day he's not. So one day, there's 60% tariffs on Vietnam. The next day is 10%. And then it's a pause. What does a pause mean? Does that mean forever? As a business person, man, I hate to say business person, businessman, as a businessman, you need to know what's going to happen in the future. You can't have all these wishy-washy statements. And I think that's causing some problems too. So I would like Donald Trump to really lay out what his vision is and stick with it or not. And I think the economy and business leaders would like to see that too. So if Donald Trump is really serious about tariffs for all countries to make sure we don't have a trade imbalance, I personally think long-term that's a healthy thing to do. Then we can just lay it out like he did on Liberation Day and say, hey, these are the tariffs. And we're going to do this. We don't care what country you are. We need to rebalance the trade. Otherwise, America, we're being hollowed out and we won't survive as a nation long-term. We got to restructure. I would support that, but there's going to be a lot of pain through that. Or is this just a negotiating ploy because he wants some other countries to remove their tariffs and then we'll remove ours, but then we're back in the so-called free trade thing. That's not sustainable for the United States because we can't compete with these other countries because they have a lot lower cost labor and they don't have environmental concerns or workers' health and safety concerns. And then we'll continue to send jobs out of this country and we'll all be like Uber drivers or OnlyFans prostitutes. And that's not sustainable. So we need to know really what the direction is. Is he doing this really for economic reasons and this is a long term, or is this just a ploy? And I don't really know. Because he also then confuses tariffs with trying to punish countries like Canada and Mexico, like you stop fentanyl from coming in here or illegals, or we'll put a tariff on you. And so both Canada and Mexico said, okay, we'll do that. Who knows if they'll really do that, but they said they'll do it. And then he's like, yeah, never mind. I'm going to put tariffs on you anyway. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. We need some clarity on what the policy is here. And part of my worry is there is no real clarity. and Donald Trump is very reactive, meaning what happened? Like, when he removed these tariffs, did he or pause the tariffs? Did he pause it because this was some 4D chess play he was doing to try to isolate China, and he was always planning to reduce it on the rest of the countries? And that's what his press secretary basically said. Or did he just get spooked by looking at the markets? Because we know Donald Trump, when anyone else is president, if the stock market goes way down, he's out tweeting how horrible that is and the president should be removed. So Trump watches a lot of Fox News. He sees the stock market, and that concerns him. So did he blink? Is he going to get jittery? And the same thing with China. Is he going to maintain these tariffs on China? Our stock market is already down, 5% today? What if Walmart starts having problems and people can't get their goods at Walmart? What if all the soy boys can't get their Apple phones? There's going to be a lot of screaming and crying about everything. Is Donald Trump, does he have the resolve to stand up against the media and all the social media? I don't know. That's typically Donald Trump he wants to be liked and he can be influenced. So I'm not really sure if he's got the gumption to stand up against this. China, is sort of a game of chicken, because China is going to be really screwed too, because most of their industry or economy is based on exports to America. Now they do other things too. They export to other countries, and they're growing their domestic production, but we're still the number one driver of their economy. So if they can no longer export to us, they're going to be in a huge economic mess. And what does that mean for China? Well, China, the government controls the media. Donald Trump doesn't control our media. In China, if you get out of line and you protest too much, they'll throw you in jail. Donald Trump's not going to throw shitlibs protesting in jail. So that's a difference too. But you never know. People could do a revolution against the Communist Party, and they have to be worried about that. So it's who's in a better position, China or the United States. In some ways, China may be, because they already have the manufacturing. They already have the infrastructure. We don't. Our infrastructure is in shambles. We focused on, instead of DEI, instead of really fixing things. We see all these infrastructure bills that like Biden did, or the Inflation Reduction Act that Biden did, and it really didn't go to what it was sold as. So instead of building roads, improving our infrastructure, it went to hire DEI consultants, go to the workplace to tell you that you have unearned privilege if you're white, and we need to eliminate whiteness, and we need to celebrate transgender people and push that on children. Well, that's not going to be really effective for the economy. So we're in a bad situation in a lot of ways. So I'm not really sure who's going to win this battle. But we're in a very uncertain time right now. It's going to be interesting, that's for sure. So we'll watch it. We're going to be going through this together, and I really appreciate that. So let me see here. I think I already got a super chat though. Wow, really nice, generous super chat. Ken C, thank you. Just finished my first Rams Man show and really enjoyed it. Looking forward to next week. Great addition to the Ramsey network. Well, thank you. Yeah, I really, the show's growing. I get new people all the time, and I do appreciate it. And I kind of, over the last 6 months, worked the formula: what works, what sort of content works, how often. And I had a few shows that didn't work, but I learned from my mistakes. I tried to reboot Happy Homeland with Alicia, and it didn't work. And it wasn't Alicia's fault; it was my fault. It just wasn't the right format, because of Alicia's more into health and fitness and stuff, and that's really cool, but that's not my thing. So it just didn't work. But now I got Z-Man, and we're doing the Wednesday wrap up, and we kind of think a lot. And I think that's really working well. I'm really happy with our Wednesday wrap up that night. And I like streaming Monday through Thursday during the day. If people get used to it, then Friday is kind of nice, because I can get the evening audience to watch live. So I think it's kind of a good schedule now. And then once you get a schedule that works, you kind of need to stick with it so people get used to the times. Because if you keep moving around the shows, what times, it gets confusing to people. So hopefully it will continue to get better throughout the year. That's my goal. And all right, but anyway, thank you very much for your generous super chat. I do appreciate this. All right, just in, the Chinese yuan falls to the lowest level in 18 years. So that's like their dollar, and it has really collapsed because of these trade wars. And so that's not good for if you're in China and you want to buy other stuff from other countries. Your currency is very weak. Yesterday again, because of the Trump saying he would pause the tariffs, except for the 10% on most countries, the market reacted really good. It jumped, I think, one of the highest in history. It went up 9.5%, and the market was up like 2,000 points. It was pretty crazy how that happened real quick. And of course, now today it's down 2,000 points, and it's already lost 5%. So I think the market, when you have these wild swings, people are, they don't know. They don't know really what's going to happen. And I think the market would like it if Trump says, okay, I give up. There's going to be no tariffs on other countries, no tariffs on China. The market would really soar. That is true. However, our country eventually, we're reaching the breaking point. Our jobs would continue to leave, and we wouldn't be able to pay the interest on our national debt. And then that will bring a huge crash. So we're kind of in a tough spot here. Some of the Treasury Secretary, they're trying to say this was all 4D chess or something. And I'm not a big believer in 4D chess. I think there's just 3 dimensions. And because I remember this whole 4D chess meme came up, and was it we had elections in 2020. And when Trump supposedly lost, and people said, oh, that was when we had QAnon. Is that still around? But QAnon, it was all, don't worry, Patriots, there's a secret plan. This is all 4D chess. Trump is going to be in office, and he's going to drive out the globalists. It's all a secret plan. He's not really going to lose. Or that's what I heard. And I said, well, I don't think he's going to be in office. You may say the election was rigged, probably was, but I don't see him winning this. He's not going to be in office. A lot of people got really mad at me for that. They really said I was, you're black pilling, you're boomer cock and all that. But I was right. More times than not, I am right. So whatever the name, I don't really care, but I like to be right. So anyway, Scott Bessent said this was all a trap, and that's what he did here. So let's listen.
And all this was driven by the president's strategy. He and I had a long talk on Sunday, and this was his strategy all along. And that, you might even say that he'd go to China into a bad position. They responded. They have shown themselves to the world to be the bad actors, and we are willing to cooperate with our allies and with our trading partners who did not retaliate.
Well, I know this is the official line, but it really doesn't make sense because other countries did retaliate, including the EU. They added tariffs on us. I think Canada and so forth. And this is sort of a weird, I guess what he's saying, this was also a super 4D chess plan, that they weren't actually going to have these big tariffs on everyone. So what Donald Trump showed everyone on Liberation Day was, if you believe this narrative, a lie. And by a lie, I mean they never intended to go through with these tariffs. This was just see who's loyal. It was like you're the mafia godfather and you want to see who's loyal to you. And all the other countries, they were loyal because they didn't retaliate, but only China, they weren't loyal, they retaliated. So now we all can see the world that China's the bad guys. Isn't this, a brilliant strategy by Donald Trump? And well, as I said, there's a couple of problems with that. Number one, other countries did retaliate besides China, including the EU. So that kind of breaks apart that argument. And the idea that somehow this makes China look bad to the rest of the world, I don't think so. I don't think this does at all. I think most of the countries think America's the bad guy in this because America started this. Now, America really didn't start this. China's been screwing us for years, but all this Liberation Day was Trump's thing, and so they look at this. Well, China was just responding to Trump's tariffs, because so China didn't raise their tariffs until they saw Trump raise ours to China, and so I think most of the countries in the world, I can't speak for every country, will be more sympathetic to China, not the United States. I could be wrong. And I don't think this is going to break the relationship China has, for example, with Russia. I talked about that in my video this morning about trying to play the China card. It's kind of funny. It's what Nixon did in the 70s to try to play China off of, at the time, it was the Soviet Union. And that kind of worked to a degree, but it's a different time now. And because of the stupid Ukrainian war that the neocons started, and we sanctioned Russia and deplatformed Russia, Russia has become closer with China and India. So it kind of backfired. And so I don't see Russia pulling away from China. I don't see India pulling away from China. I don't see the EU pulling away from China. So I'm not really sure of the great 4D chess here. But I guess if you take them at the word, the whole thing on Liberation Day wasn't serious. It was just theater Donald Trump was putting on. So Donald Trump was like lying to all of us for a show, because he didn't really plan to put these high tariffs on to balance the trade by each country, because every country had a tariff based on our trade deficit. It's a set formula they did. And now we got, just kidding. I was just bullshitting you. You fell for it. No, I trolled you. I never planned on this in the first place. Yeah, I don't know. That's not a good look. It's not a good look to do it that way. And I don't really think this is the truth, by the way. I think he's lying. The Treasury Secretary, I don't think this is what happened. I think what happened is Trump got spooked because of the reaction of the markets. So he put a 90-day pause. And again, what does that mean exactly? I don't know. Does it mean, again, that he wants these other countries to remove their tariffs? Well, even if they do, there's still going to be a trade imbalance, because the trade imbalance really isn't because these countries have high tariffs. Some of them do. I mean, like Japan protects their rice, and EU has some tariffs. And then there's hidden tariffs like through regulations and so forth. Z-Man was talking how hard it is to do business in China. It's not an official tariff, but they try to exclude you out unless you pay off certain people. Mexico's that way too. It's all run on bribes. So I get it. There's more to it than the official tariff. But is the goal that Donald Trump supports so-called free trade? He just doesn't like how the other countries aren't playing along right. And if they're going to cheat on free trade, we're going to punish them. Or that's one scenario. Or the other scenario is Donald Trump believes that free trade doesn't really work. It impoverishes 90% of Americans, makes the stock market happy, but it doesn't help Americans like blue-collar workers, and it risks our national defense. If that's what he believes, that's fine too. So which is it that Donald Trump really believes? On Liberation Day, it was the latter. No, this is the way we're going forward. But now, after the stock market crashed a lot, Donald Trump sent this guy out saying, "No, we're just kidding. This was just a negotiating tactic." So you can see why this isn't doing well for like businesses don't really know. So it's not good to admit to lying to people, because then whenever Trump will say something, everyone's going to say, well, do you really mean that? Or is this another lie that you're just doing some sort of art of the deal thing? Right? Maybe in business you can do that, but even in business, if you get a reputation of bullshitting, it will get around. So I'm not really happy with this uh, response. I don't know. I honestly don't know what an ISC man, he doesn't know either. I honestly don't know what Trump's thinking. Does he really want to go back to tariffs? I think he really does, because he's talked about tariffs since the 80s, 1980s. He loves McKinley, who helped build America, or how we became rich in tariffs. And he thinks it's a great way to help fund the nation. We can lower or eliminate some income tax potentially. So does he really believe that? Or does he believe that and he just got spooked because of the market? So if you're going to implement a fundamental change, you got to have a lot of resolve. Like, okay, I know a lot of people are going to scream. There's going to be a lot of pain, wailing, gnashing of teeth, but we got to do this. This is just reality. We can't go on the way we were before. We can't go that way anymore. We're going bankrupt. I support that, but he's got to be honest with people. And by honest, I mean no more of these games where he announces something and a couple days later, oh, it was just a joke. I was just joking, bro. It wasn't real. Now that's not a good look. He needs to go to the American people and say, okay, we want economic nationalism, and here's the reason why, and here's the pain we'll have to go through, but this is better for all of the country. Yeah, you may have to pay more at Walmart, but there's a social cost that we're paying now, as Z-Man uses. When you go to the emergency room, it looks like a Tijuana bus stop. We don't want that anymore. We need to bring back America, even though the standard of living for especially the top people is not going to be as easy as anymore. And no, your stocks are not going to go up forever. We're going to go back to the day where stocks are going to be based on fundamentals, like do they actually make a profit, the company, not the speculation. Those days are over, and we're going to go through a tough readjustment. If he told the American people that, I would be behind that. I think a lot of people would. And some people may hate him if he said that, and some businesses may hate him, but at least they would understand and they could plan accordingly. But if Trump implements something and 2 days later, his Treasury Secretary was just saying he was lying to us for a negotiating reason, then people are like, well, I don't know. What is Trump? We can't make plans that involve millions of dollars of capital, building let's say a factory in Ohio, when Trump was just saying, oh, I was just kidding. I'm sorry you're building that factory in Ohio, but I'm eliminating tariffs. So your competitors that didn't build, so you have two companies, right? One company listens to Donald Trump and they're like, okay, I believe Donald Trump. We're going back to America. There's going to be tariffs. I'm going to be proactive. We're going to have a capital expenditure. We're going to build a plant in Ohio. We're going to transition out of China. I'm on board, Trump. We're doing that. And Trump says, good boy. That's the way to do it. Another guy is like, F you, Trump. F you, Orange Man. I'm not moving you put tariffs on me. I'm staying in China. Okay. But then all of a sudden now, 2-3 years later, Trump says, oh, I've decided I was just bullshitting you. I'm removing all the tariffs. Right. So the company that acted in goodwill and believed Trump, now they're not competitive because their jobs are in Ohio, and you have to pay people more in Ohio than you would, let's say, in China. And so they go bankrupt. So the person that does the right thing will be punished, and the person that ignores Trump will be rewarded, right? So this is the problem. This is a huge problem. And Trump needs to stop lying and bragging about it and thinking, that his Treasury Secretary was kind of smirking. It's not funny. It's not funny to lie about this stuff because you lose your credibility. And obviously I'm a nationalist. I'm on the right. I support Trump. But as if I was like a head of a corporation, I'd be pissed. I wouldn't know what to do. I honestly wouldn't know what to do. Do I move my production to America, or not. I don't know what Trump believes in anymore. He says he's an economic nationalist on Monday, but on Wednesday, it's just a joke, bro. It's just a joke, bro. You can't run a business that way. You need to know what the direction's going to be. So Trump needs to figure this out, and he needs to get straight with them. And if Trump doesn't have the stones to go through with these tariffs, and he's going to back down and try to save face, well, just be honest then, and just say, okay, I'm going to remove tariffs. Just remove all tariffs. We'll go back how we were. The stock market will go back up, and Bitcoin will go back up, and our jobs will continue to leave this country, and we'll have longer and longer food lines, and we'll have more and more homeless camps, and our country will look like shit. And if there's ever a war, we'll be defeated because we won't have industry. I mean, go that route then, but just decide one way or the other. Don't try to stay in the middle. You can't be in the middle on this. So I guess I'm unhappy with Trump on that. I'm not really happy with him right now, just because he doesn't have a clear message, which is a nice way to say he's lying to us. So I know lying's is a harsh word, but I don't know how else to say it, right? Because all the graphics, the big Liberation Day, April 2nd. I hope everyone's here to see this. This is historic. This is our new way. A couple days later, it's just a joke, bro. Just a joke. All right. The good news is U.S. inflation has fallen 2.4%, more than expected. That is excellent news. Usually, this would definitely raise the market, because when inflation falls, the Federal Reserve feels more confident to cut the interest rates, which helps the stock market. But because of all this tariff uncertainty, that hasn't happened. But this is good. Inflation has cooled down quite a bit. And I think we could see more of that. One of the things that will happen too, well, with tariffs, you may see more expensive items in the stores, but at the same time, the other pressure is oil prices will be cheaper because there'll be less economic activity, so less demand for oil. That would lower the oil prices. That's why the price of oil has been dropping, not because of Trump's energy policies. That will help. No, don't get me wrong. But most of it is, looks like the world is going into recession. When the world is in a recession, they don't need as much oil. And oil, they're sold on futures, what you think is going to happen in the future. And kind of like the stock market. So the price falls because people don't think there's going to be as much demand for oil. Couple of things that Trump has done well, though, that are easy wins, and I think this is a good one. Let's take a look at this right here.
Memorandum, all relating to deregulation, which has obviously been a major priority of your administration. The first of these is an executive order. The Biden administration launched what you've called a war on showers. They had certain regulations that basically killed the water pressure of showers and other water appliances.
You can say it. Go ahead. What are the appliances?
I mean, it's everything, sir.
Dishwashers,
toilets, sinks. But the shower heads are a
There's
huge
no
deal.
water. You don't get water. It's ridiculous.
So with this executive order, we're effectively going to be reversing that set of regulations to ensure that Americans have choice in the consumer market. If they want a low-flow shower head, they can buy one. If they want a real deal shower head, they should have the
No one. That's true. I hate low flow shower heads. That was a bit on Seinfeld, if you guys ever saw that. It sucks. It really does. And it's supposed to save water. But again, people then just take longer showers. It's kind of like low flow toilets. You just have to flush it a couple times. So there's no savings, really. And it should be up to the consumer, and the market can regulate it by the price of water. So if your water bill you're really concerned about, let's say if you live in like Nevada and they don't have much water, then the price of water is a lot higher and you're going to be more water conscious. So maybe you would want a low flow shower head to cut down your water bill. But if you don't, if having nice showers is important to you, that should be your right. You should be able to get a nice shower head, even though it may cost you a few pennies more a month. I would. I think that's worth it because it's not much of a difference. I would do it, but it should be up to the consumer, and the price will regulate that. Here in Northwest Arkansas, we rarely have any water problems because we get a lot of rain here. So yeah, I want. Why force us to have a low flow shower head?
Ability to get one.
You buy a new house, you pay a lot of money, and the developers, you're not allowed to do anything more. They put restrictors on. They used to have a restrictor where you could take it out, but now they weld it in. And you take a shower or wash your hands, whatever you do, including dishwashers when no water comes out. But you wash your hands, and in my case, I like to take a nice shower to take care of my beautiful hair. And I have to stand under the shower for 15 minutes till it gets wet. It comes out drip, drip, drip. It's ridiculous. And what you do is you end up washing your hands 5 times longer. So it's the same water.
Yeah, he's right. It doesn't. The irony of these things, they don't really save water because you just use it longer.
And we're going to open it up so that people can live, and we're going to hopefully have Congress approve it so it's memorialized. We're going to try and get all of these things, including straws, little thing like straws. We did straws a month ago where the paper straws were melting. They were dissolving. They weren't working well.
Yeah, paper straws suck. It's a dad joke there, but and they do. And these are like quality of life improvements. They're not major things, but they add up. And why not? And as I was talking to, I think Z-Man last night, I don't know, maybe I did on my video. I get confused. I do so much content. I forget where I say things, but Europe, all their leaders seem to be doing everything they can to make life miserable for their average citizen. There they are, everything, just make their life miserable. We're going to import Pakistanis that are going to make your life miserable. We're going to arrest you if you say something we don't like. We are going to keep you in constant fear. We are going to push this climate change hoax on you and take away your heat so you freeze in the winter. We're going to make it so you can't have air conditioning. We're going to ration your water and food. They do everything just to make life miserable. And it'd be nice, and it is nice. Trump at least wants to make life better for Americans, even if it's small things. Like I couldn't imagine Starmer or whoever that guy is in Canada. Is it Carney now? I forget. Doing this for his citizens. They want it because they say, no, this will make Mother Earth bad. We're not getting rid of this.
And we went back to the plastic straws. We're going to get Congress to memorialize just about everything we've done here because most of it's common sense. But the water is horrible. When you go into anytime you see a new faucet, it's going to be a long wash of the hands. And so we're changing. It's a big deal. I did it in the first administration. Biden came in his first week, and he had no idea what he was doing, but somebody told him to do it. In his first week, he put the restrictions on all the bathroom utilities. Even in areas that have so much water, they don't know what to do with it. You see those areas all the time with the flooding. So we're doing that, and we're going to get all of the things that you've seen. I think we set a record. We're up to almost 200 and 500 amendments. Nobody's ever done that many. We're going to get them approved by Congress so they're memorialized. And we look forward to doing that. It's very important. And Congress is going to start working on it as soon as we get the big, beautiful deal done. The big, beautiful deal is important. The biggest tax cuts in the history of our country, that's important. Okay. Okay, is that okay? Good. Just a 10.
Good shower.
We rate the signatures. That was a 10. That's why.
So, yeah, that's a good thing that Trump did. It's a minor thing, but I do think these things are important, and it was great. Let's see here. I got another power chat, and thank you very much for this. This is Arthur. Thank you. Thank you for bringing up the change in tariffs by Trump. I'm extremely disappointed with Trump. I feel that wearing you fell for it hat again. You fell for it again. Well, yeah. I mean, Trump was our best option that we had at the election. It would have been horrible under Kamala, I'll tell you that. And Trump's done a lot of great things, including helping to protect the border and a lot of other things Trump has done that's been really wonderful. And just the shower heads and trying to attack DEI, and they're really going after a lot of the waste. And I support all that. Trump has good instincts, but at the same time, he gets skittish at times. And I get it. It's tough to make a fundamental change. It's tough for anyone to do it, right? And so, yeah, thank you for that. There are some things. And that's the thing. I try to keep it real, as they say. I'm not a guy that's just going to be like rah Trump all the time. I'll give him kudos when I think he does something good, but I'll criticize him when I think he does something bad. So I think the shower thing was a great thing. Good kudos for Trump on that. Securing the border, wonderful. Ukraine, I wish he would have walked away from it. I don't know what he's doing there. I still hope he walks away from it. So that's to be determined. This tariff thing, that's to be determined too. I think he's already fumbled, no doubt, the implementation of it. He's already backpedaled, and either he got scared and backpedaled or he lied to us. Those are the two options, whichever you want to believe. Yeah, that's a Trump thing right there. The other thing, I've been disappointed with Trump, and we don't have the money for a lot of this nonsense anymore. Let me just show you all this wars for Israel. And Yemen announced the continuation of the operations at sea, saying no Zionist ship will sail through the Red Sea to Palestine. We will continue this until aid and medicine are delivered to Gaza. So Yemen, they are in solidarity with the Palestinians. Again, I'm not like a huge fan of the Palestinians. I definitely don't want them in America or Europe. But what Israel's doing is pretty, I don't know how you can spin it as a good way. It is pretty much like a genocide. And so Yemen's saying, well, if you're going to support Israel doing their genocide, we're going to make it so you can't go through the Red Sea. We're going to attack shipping, and we have drones. That's how we're going to do it. And so we sent our military there. We spent now billions of dollars dropping bombs on tribal meetings and these people. I don't really care, but that doesn't really solve the situation. It's like trying to kill cockroaches with a rifle, right? It's not. You may get one or two, but the infestation is not over. You got to get at the root. The only way to really solve this is either invade with troops, which we're not going to do, or just be neutral and stop our everlasting funding of Israel to do their genocidal wars. That's the option. And I doubt Trump's going to give up on the genocidal, funding Israel. So the problem this is happening, and I'll show you this. Basically, this has been a military defeat for America. This is a recent shipping map. And you see everyone else going across the Horn of Africa. Very few ships are going through the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. This used to be the way because it's closer. See, so if you're shipping from Asia, see all the China ships, they want to dump off all their crap in Europe. What they do is they would go up through the Red Sea, but now they can't do that because the Houthis here are down here anyway, are attacking these cargo ships. They're not really sinking them for the most part. These ships are big, but they're causing damage. And these cargo ships, they have to get insured. And the insurance people are saying, no, we're not going to insure your ship if you take it through the Red Sea. It's too dangerous. So we sent over our battleships or aircraft carriers to the Red Sea to act like a badass and to attack Yemen. But Yemen, they don't care because they're just running around in their sandals in the desert. and there's a lot of them, and they have these cheap drones. So we don't really have a strategy that can work there. So it hasn't worked, and so far we're losing. That's just the reality of the situation. If you define the war, you always got to define a war by objectives. And our objectives for the war against Yemen, we don't call things wars anymore, but it's a war, right? We're dropping bombs. We're at war with Yemen to keep the Red Sea open. We haven't been able to keep the Red Sea open. So they're winning the war. That's just it. I guess we drop more bombs on them. We can kill these people running around in sandals, but it's hard to kill. I guess the other thing we could do is just kill them all, nuke Yemen, but I don't think we're going to do that. So we don't really have any really good options here. This is pretty crazy how that is happening. Let's see here. And our military has a lot of issues that we need to resolve. And I've known people in the military, and I'm good friends with some, and they a lot of echo these same problems. We have a lot of these DEIs. I don't know why we have a woman that's in the military in the first place, but being a vice admiral is like a cruel joke. It's just silly. But we have this woman, Nancy Admiral Shoshana Chatfield. Anyone that named Shoshana should not be an admiral. I'm just saying, right? And I'm sure she got her position because she's a woman. And under the Biden administration, it looks like good optics to have a woman be an admiral, but it's a disaster. And she refused to put up the President of the United States and the Secretary of Defense pictures up in the NATO headquarters. So she doesn't really, I guess, really do anything important. She's just in NATO. She has like a desk job. Also held an all hands meeting where she said, we will wait them out 4 years. Yeah, that's insubordination to the commander in chief. So they got rid of her, but she should have never been in that position in the first place. And I get it. She wasn't really in a combat role. She had an email job probably with NATO, but we can't afford these email jobs where these nice little ladies are sending out PowerPoints. We can't afford that anymore. She needs to find another job and either go marry and have babies and be useful, or get another productive job. Maybe she could be a nurse or something valuable. We don't need a vice admiral in a desk job bitching about Trump. And that is the truth about that. Let's see here. I guess one more thing I wanted to show here before we wrap up today. And thank you for your support. And as a reminder, today is Thursday. So if you want to watch I'll have a video out tomorrow for my Substack subscribers. So get on Substack. That comes out tomorrow. And then the show, the Ramsey Paul show, I do on Fridays, but I don't do it at this time on Fridays. I do it in the evening. So the Ramsey Paul show tomorrow night will be at 8 p.m. Central. We have a lot of fun. I do some open lines. And some exciting news to me, I've become a big fan of this tool called Grok. And they're updating some more versions of Grok. And they said Grok 3 Mini is the first model that gets a perfect score in my reasoning test. Grok is pretty amazing. I use it all the time. It has replaced Google search engine for me, because Google, they used to have a great search engine, but because of political correctness and wokeness, they changed it and pretty well broke it. So it's not very good at searching for stuff on the internet. But if you use Grok, it actually does it better. And so instead of even minor things, like Sasha's got a new laptop computer, her old computer broke, and she didn't know it kept going into sleep mode after 5 minutes. A minor thing. It wasn't broken. That was just the option. And so I forgot how to get it out of sleep mode. So just turn off sleep mode. I asked Grok, and so I don't have to Google search and then pick a link. If you ask Grok, it'll just tell you right away and you walk through it. And again, it does a lot of things. I walk every day. Another day, I saw a snake on the highway. It's rural Arkansas here. I'm like, oh, I wonder what kind of snake that is. I'm not sure. So I took a photo of it, and you just upload it to Grok, and it says, oh, that's a black rat snake. It's not venomous, and they give you the whole history behind it. So cool. I did that with a tree. We have these pretty pink trees blossom in the spring. And I asked Grok, what technically is the name of that? And, oh, that's the Eastern redbud. So you could do a birds or anything. Just take a photo of it. Grok will tell you everything. And so I'm a big fan of Grok. I'm a huge fan of Grok. So I'm looking forward to the updates. I use Grok every day now. So thank you, Elon Musk, for Grok. That is a good tool. Some of the other AI tools, they vary. Some of them are more politically correct than others. So you got to be careful what you're doing there. So anyway, guys, thank you. It's been a good show. And as a reminder, tomorrow night, we will have the RAMZPAUL show at 8 p.m. That's usual. So we're kind of on the usual schedule. We're in the usual mode now. I like that. And thank you guys all for your support. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you have a good day. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.